the presenters for the track team from Harry Hills High School, who were the only school in the Richmond Unified School District to ever win the state track and field championship. We had 180 people in attendance. In addition to Supervisor Joya, John Ziesenheim was here, and he was one of the presenters. We also honored C.A. Robertson, who started Richmond PAL, and also actually ended up doing California PAL. And also we honored Nat Bates for his support of sports in the city of Richmond, and also his service to the city of Richmond as a councilman and mayor emeritus. So I just wanted to tell all of you that, and to invite you, if you have Facebook, some people do, some people don't, to go to Richmond Public Library Teams, where you can see video that was done by Supervisor Joya's office, and also photos.
So did you say teens?
Teens, like teenagers?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela. Yeah, I saw that listing, and I was very jealous that I wasn't able to attend because I was traveling, unfortunately, but it looked wonderful, so I'm glad it was an excellent turnout.
Yes, it was. It was great.
Well done. Thank you for sharing.
Sure, thank you.
So now, number 5, in the approval of minutes. In the absence of full membership in the commissions that have since termed out, current library commissioners may choose to vote on the minutes or direct library staff to consider minutes approved based on lack of quorum, but we have everyone here. So, approval of the February 2nd, 2023 minutes. Harrison, Hymas, Kahn, and King pages, refer to pages 3 to 13.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented or written.
Okay, do I have a second?
And then I'll second it.
Okay, so motion to approve the February 2nd, 2023 meeting minutes was put in the motion by Commissioner Kahn and seconded by Commissioner Hymas. And I'm going to do a roll call for that. And so how stands you, Thomas Kahn?
Aye.
Marcelo Hymas? Commissioner King?
Aye.
And Commissioner Harrison is aye. So the approval of minutes for February 2nd, 2023 have been approved. Okay. Now, item 6, department reports for information. Unless items were pulled for discussion during agenda review, all reports are considered received and accepted by the commission, requiring no further action. So 6A, library services, pages 14 to 15. 6B, literacy for every adult program, LEAP, page 16. 6C, circulation statistics, pages 17 to 18. And 6D, the RPL newsletters, pages 19 to 22. And 6E, the director's report, page 23.
I do have a question about that last, on page 23.
Okay.
There is a link to a slide deck, which I did not get a chance to take a look at. I assume it's available, and I would like to see it, but I just didn't have time. When I saw this, I thought, okay, well, I just don't have time to look at this. So, can you suggest anything? I assume it's just information, right?
It is. It was part of during mid-year. What all the departments within the city do is they present information, very high level on the work. They talk. There's a slide on accomplishments, like who the library is, like what we do, what we did. So in the first part of the fiscal year, and then what we plan to do.
Okay.
The second part of the fiscal year, really high level bullet points or some pictures of things. And then there's a slide about the mid-year budget, like the budget for fiscal year 22-23, where we are at the mid-year, so at the end of December, and what's remaining. So I just wanted to let you all know that it was presented. We didn't get a chance to actually present it to City Council, but they accepted it as a report And so I just wanted to make sure you all were aware of it. And it's not just library, but it's all of community services. So if you wanted to see recreation or employment and training, you could do that also. And then you could look on the city's website and see the same slides with the same headings for all the different departments.
Good, good, good. So.
A lot of what we said is what you have received in reports
Okay.
in past on the work that the library is doing.
Right, okay, very good, very good.
Commissioner Hunt, if you would like a hard copy, I can make that available to you this evening before
Well,
you leave.
not really. I think that's probably wasteful, but I'll take a look at it.
Okay, if you need, let me know.
And it will help us, I think, when we do our report, if and when we do our report. So,
Okay.
yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so moving on to item number 7 on the agenda, presentations, discussions, and action items. Following discussion of each item, the commission may vote to make recommendations to staff or to city council. So 7A, an introduction of guest attendees. And that would be up, or is that us?
No, we have no guest attendees at this evening. No one is
Who are the guests?
outside the
We're all family.
Angela has had an opportunity to introduce herself for the beginning.
Okay, 7B, support for library staff and programs, pages 24 to 27.
Left to right side pages. So, I submitted this to you. Basically, it goes over some of the roles and duties and powers of the Library Commission. So I highlighted some of them, that there is the annual report to the City Council. We have been working on trying to find you some of the information that you had requested about that. We did find one from 1964.
Oh, my God. See?
So,
the last time?
I do not believe that is the last time, but that was one that I actually found. There is also, we did find a video from
2014, I believe.
2014, which we'll send you the link to. So there is a presentation, there was a slide deck that was used at that, and that's
Okay.
recorded, but we do not have a copy of it that we can find. But it does give you an idea of what was in that
Okay.
information.
I could be wrong about the date, but it's somewhere around
So
that
do
time.
you all want, as the your city council liaison, once you're ready, and no pressure, but when you're ready to do a presentation, do you want me to agendize it for you and frame just throw it into your hands, say city council, our library commission would like to make a presentation, and then you go ahead and do it, so. Okay, I'd be very, very happy to do so.
I think we have to get the report first.
We will help. We
We
will.
need the report first.
Oh,
Yeah, the report
yeah.
first.
So lovely that you're the MC.
Yeah, right. I got the easy part.
So what we wanted you to know was that there are some roles. It's an interesting role, the way that it was, that you're both city residents who are serving on the commission that we are presenting information to, that then make recommendations both to the city manager and to the city council. And at the same time, it does say that there is number 6 in here under 3.16070 of the powers and duties is to engage in a program of acquainting the public with the problems relating to the operation of the Richmond Public Library. So,
Page 27 for those who are.
yes, on page 27, I also quoted there in that first paragraph. So there is something of both the kind of the flow upward of information to the making recommendations to the city council, but also there is something where it is a power to go out and to try to make sure that other people are aware of what the library is attempting to do or may be limited by. And this is particularly important, I think, because
in some cases, we are coming to you to tell you what we are doing to, as the body of the community that we are trying to keep apprised of what we are up to and what we're trying to do. And I think sometimes there has been times where people who do not know that are concerned about the fact that, for example, that we do not yet have Saturday hours, which we are working on, but they also do not know where we might be having issues with staffing. So there's, you are in some sense privy to information that not everyone is going to naturally have, just by coming into the library. And so that is something where you are both able to present reports or commentary to the city council, or to send something to the city manager in support of something that's happening. And also, you do have the power you get to set the time and place of your meetings. And so one thing is that if you were to say that you wanted to convene special meetings, if you wanted to convene them in other places, in order to encourage participation or for the purpose of gaining input or being able to speak with a group of people.
Saying like a forum, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Or you could do something like that, or you could also, and as commissioners, of course, you could go and choose to speak to, say, neighborhood councils about what the library is doing or attempting to do, or what we're planning for.
Or ask these neighborhood councils what they'd like the library to do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't, it's conduit for both. You're certainly welcome to tell us what you're hearing, and then we, react to that. And so there really is, that was some of the background, some of the things that are in your in the municipal code, empowering you to do various things. So it was just there for discussion, that you could be representatives at community meetings. You could vary the location and time of your meetings to encourage public participation. As you mentioned, it could be a forum. Also, that could be special meetings for that purpose of gathering comment. Or
We also talked about doing presentations at service organizations, that sort of thing, and also like community fairs, or just gatherings of one sort or another, having joining with the library, to have some kind of a presence at such events. And the question is, when are these things, and how, arranging for that to happen is the challenge that we have.
One thing that I just want to share that we're really trying to work on is, because library staff do programs and they are tabling at events, we really want to and are moving towards getting a calendar so that we can share it and have information on there ahead of time, so that we can share with all of you. And you all may say, you know what, I really would love to go table with you at Cinco de Mayo or at Juneteenth or at the high school. I know Angela's went to the high school. So there may be opportunities where staff don't have to go by themselves, and you all can join us and support us in that. I think that's really wonderful. And then if you want to come to events and share events on, if you have social media. So we are really working on a calendar of all of our events to help you advocate for us.
I think we talked at the last meeting about name tags or some kind of identification for the commissioners.
I am happily working on that.
Oh.
I have a proof that is being worked on. I'm going to email that as soon as I get it to you.
Okay.
I do have all of your names on your badges as they are on the table cards in front of you. So if you prefer to go by, say, maybe Tom.
Yeah, I do, actually.
Okay, then you'll get a chance
Okay,
to look that
okay,
up
to look at
and
that. Okay,
change it
okay.
for me.
All
It's a metal name
Oh,
tag,
okay.
and it's got a magnetic back,
Okay.
backing, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We want T-shirts. Okay, we can get you some T-shirts. Let me write that down. Glitter.
I wanted to, I was gonna, and I can still do it I noticed you have an announcement section, but it seems to fit into here too. So, I kind of got the money during the budget process last year for a literacy fair, a literacy festival. We used to hold them in Richmond back when I was mayor, and then it kind of got dropped off, and then the pandemic and all that. So we're getting one going this year for April 29th in Civic Center, outdoors, from 1 to 4. And it's going to be so, and I wish I would have brought the flyer. It's a beautiful flyer. I will send it to Lisa maybe, and you could circulate it. But if you guys want a table, like either library staff or library commission, there's going to be a puppet show. We're going to have poetry. We're going to have music. Angela's going to say a few words. We have Abigail from the LEAP program who's going to MC it. So it's going to be a really exciting thing. And so if you want to, after you guys could decide among yourselves, just have Lisa maybe let me know if you want if you all want a table, and I'll make sure that we get you on the list. And please spread the word.
Great.
Yeah, and you should send us some sort of announcement that we can put on our social media
Absolutely.
so we can spread it individually.
I think that flyer will work perfectly. So
can
since
send
I
you
don't have all
something.
your emails, Lisa could be my
Definitely.
connection to all of you.
Definitely.
Yes.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So I think you're going to continue.
Yes. Other discussion on?
Well, I saw in here this paragraph, it says, "City Council has heard twice from a concerned member of the
Mhm.
public. The financial support for the library is critical. However, the same commentary also casts the library in a profoundly negative light." And I can understand that.
Mhm.
You know, the question is, then, what can we do? I mean, we've probably all got our negative, things we could say, but we're not here to be negative. We're here to be positive, and I'm very concerned, like you point out, that the city council, encourages city council to limit losses on the library rather than increase the investment.
Mhm.
And so, is there anything specific you would suggest or ask from us that we could help counter,
Well,
with such
I think
comments?
in particular, sometimes the information that that community members sometimes are getting is coming, that it's draft information that we've shared with staff. But sometimes that's because it's what the budget is. And that does not necessarily include what we're proposing. So that there can be a lag between
Right.
someone getting information that this is what is being proposed and that there is nothing in there about staffing or what the staffing is, or the fact that where we are in the process of trying to staff up, which we are trying to do.
Yeah.
So there can be kind of a lag between those so sometimes of having a sense of what we are trying to do at the same time, or the direction we are headed, because it's not to say to try to minimize what we aren't doing, because I think there's plenty of things where we have not done. We don't currently have Saturday hours, but that does not necessarily mean we are not planning to have Saturday hours. That said, we have to have the staff in order to do that without, and that can be an issue. So,
I think one thing that would be really helpful is if you do call in to council is to focus on assets, right? And just to say, we thank staff for the program, the program Angela put on, or story time, or just what staff are already doing. Because it's about encouraging and uplifting staff, and then to say, we would like to see more
Yes.
of that, right? And we believe that more of that comes by way of additional funding or additional staff, and we support recommendations from library department on additional resources. Like that, to me, is like you uplift, you celebrate what's really great, while acknowledging that more could be done at the same time, but doing it in a positive light.
Sure.
it kind of goes with when I'm speaking with LaShonda, is that we often say that there are lots of opportunities. And I think the thing is that you can flip it around, is that you can see those as deficits or things that are not happening. Or you can see it as an opportunity to do something. And we are where we are, and I can't deny that. But that does not mean that we do not have opportunities to do more. But those can be cast in the light of people saying, they're not doing this, they're not doing this, they're not doing this. And that's true.
Yeah.
But are we trying to address that? In many cases, yes. Or, so it's like, that's an opportunity for us to try to meet a need. And that we are actively trying to get into position to do that.
That brings just up another thing that, you know, the commission needs to be kept in the loop on plans and, you know, on these possibilities. I know it's tough because we all have lots of things we've got to pay attention to, and this is just one more thing that we've got to pay attention to if we're, you know, given it. So I mean, I would pledge to do that if I were, you know, if I got more information, I would say, okay, I'll read it, I'll pay attention, because it will help in the end.
Thank you for asking how you can support us. We appreciate that.
Okay. And if it's something where we should be, that you need information that we can share with you, then, I mean, in most cases, it's not because it's secret.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah. You know, it's tentative and
Right,
the decisions
yeah.
haven't been made, it's, you know, in the process and all that. Yeah, I understand. Okay, good.
I just want to add on, I'm glad that everyone has thick skin, because I know that those moments when you get, you know.
Yeah.
And it would just be nice if, you know, the big picture was seen by everybody, but sometimes it's not, because I wouldn't sit there and say like, oh, everybody's trying to tank the library or something like that. I think everyone's here for a reason, trying to build it up, you know. So it's unfortunate that members of the public sometimes see it a little bit differently, but as I think it's a good way to go about, like, just kind of what you were saying, combating that negativity with enhancing the positives. So, and just keep that hammering going on. So, excellent. So, I like that approach. Okay, I think we are on, I lost track, are we on 7C?
Yes.
Page
28.
Support for library hour expansion, pages 28 to 29.
So this goes directly to the next item, what I think one of the large things. So we are currently doing 41 hours here at the main library, which actually is more than we did pre-pandemic, which was 40 hours per week. We have 20 hours at each branch library, but we do not include Saturdays. And a primary concern has been staffing. We have moved, one thing is we've actually been able to promote internally. I was promoted, and then we promoted to library assistant, subject to librarian or library associate. So we've had a lot of movement internally, but it's also created gaps, openings, and there are just the fact that we have had the loss of some positions over time, so we were down somewhat. So what we're currently planning to do is we're working on getting a Saturday schedule. We are actively working on hiring for a librarian right now. One thing that I am working on is also trying to have that the branch libraries be able to be open on Saturdays, which I do not believe, going back in time, I don't know that they ever have been.
Interesting.
So,
Only Maine has been open on, okay.
yeah, there was, in the history, Maine has been open on both Saturdays and Sundays. It did 4 hours on Sundays in like 1989. We have had Saturday hours. We are currently looking at doing 10 to 5 on Saturdays sometime in the near future. It's a little ways down the road. And then I would like to be able to have the branch libraries open at that. The current staffing is that we actually have one librarian assigned to each branch, where we used to have one who went between two branches. So I'm trying to also make sure that we have the staffing that those people can be isolated from what's going on at Maine, so we're not Before, we would use that person as part of the Saturday rotation.
Oh,
And this way, they're out of the main Saturday rotation, instead they're at the branches. That is kind of ambitious. It does require us to make sure that we have sufficient staff. So we are looking at various different, one is, of course, simply filling all of our open positions. We are going to be filling one shortly, and we should be provisionally filling 2 more library assistants, because we're waiting on HR to get the classification, the recruitment open, so we can do a provisional appointment, so at least we have people in there who are on a regular schedule that they can function. We are looking at reclassifying the open, we had a retirement of the other administrative librarian at the end of February. We're looking at reclassifying that to a head of reference, which is it's equivalent to a supervising librarian. So they are both a supervisor, but they are also functioning as a librarian out on the floor with desk hours. We were looking at seeking an additional librarian 1 position, in addition to the one that we're hiring for, possibly seeking another head of reference for, that one would be over, because I'm currently, as administrative librarian, I'm currently supervising all of the librarians plus MPSSL, all the librarians plus the head of functionally our head of circulation, and so that's like 13 people. So that's a lot of people. So I'm looking at trying to get at least 1 supervisor in, and possibly in the next fiscal year getting in another one, because we have about 4 functional units within the library: adult and teen, acquisitions and technical services, children's, and branch and mobile.
okay.
So there would be some,
So you're looking to have somebody oversee each.
so that
Yeah.
have 1 supervisor oversee 2
2.
units. Right. And then we are looking at also additional library assistant positions, because with us looking at having the branches open on Saturdays, we need to have additional full-time staff that we can plan around, because we currently rely a lot on part-time,
Okay.
which is,
I don't know, is another place to ask about, I'm sorry, I didn't read through the policy, I didn't finish the policy.
it's long. I'm not expecting you to have read it. This is only, I'm introducing this on that's the next agenda item, I think.
Volunteers? Are there volunteers here? Is there a volunteer program?
We have not, we had our volunteer program, we had a volunteer program for tutoring. The one issue with using volunteers is that it actually puts additional stress on staff.
Sure.
So that has been something where sometimes capacity for volunteers wasn't there to have them involved. And then I know that in the past there had been something where the volunteers were basically vetted by the library itself, and for the last, I don't know, for at least 5 years now, it's been that everything goes to the, I think through the city manager's office.
It's a community services. We have
Yeah.
a neighborhood services unit and the recreation, and there's a volunteer process there where volunteers go there, and then they put them out to different departments or areas that work for them.
So that is, so there's both having enough staff to have the capacity to then make use of volunteers effectively, but then also, I think sometimes the process can, people come in and say, I'd like to volunteer at the library, and it's like, okay, well, you have to go fill out this form.
Yeah.
And that can be.
I remember Rochelle Monk.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, she did such a great job with citywide volunteer work. I don't know if she ever plugged into volunteers for the library.
I don't
or
know.
not.
I don't know
We
that.
used them. We got a lot of volunteers.
Okay.
That was prior to the pandemic,
Oh.
when we had homework help and we had other programs, reading aloud to children and things like that.
She was wonderful.
Yeah,
Miss her.
yeah, and we did use them.
I just know I started as a volunteer,
Did you?
Okay.
my whole library path, started at volunteering.
Mm.
And here we are. But I'm just saying, like, I understand the vetting process, and I understand, like, getting people in and all that sort of thing, but I'm just wondering if there could almost, like, be a volunteer, like, just throwing it out there, not to
We appreciate it.
not
'cause
to
we can-
sidetrack, but like a volunteer liaison who specifically is volunteering to train volunteers.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So it's
Yeah.
like volunteer of the volunteers.
No, we are writing that down.
Okay.
Because I think we appreciate ideas and we can reevaluate and connect with, we always like to try and bring back to the librarians also and staff to see how that feels, how would that work, what can we do. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
to talk more about that.
Okay.
And as a former teacher, librarian in high school who had many volunteers, I certainly can second Christopher's notion about sometimes, depending on the person, and it's hard to say no to a volunteer, right? It's almost like, oh my God, they're here today. I've got to find something for them to do. Or, I mean, it may sound kind of, but it is the supervising. That it's a real issue. It's a real issue. It isn't just something that you can, ignore. It's a real issue.
Wait, I'm sorry, what's a real issue? That
Supervising the volunteers. Volunteers don't just come in off the street and
know
suddenly
what to
know
do.
what to do, and then from day to day or week to week or whatever, know, okay, what's their task? Because those tasks vary. Somebody has to administer those tasks and those volunteer workers. So you do rely. I mean, the staff itself, plays a large part in that. And I was always lucky when I got somebody who knew just exactly what needed to be done and did it. But oftentimes there are volunteers who don't, and you just have to take a lot of time to make them useful.
Okay.
Can I add? I like everybody's feedback, but I think, and I understand too, because I work with this in my team software.
Oh, I'm too deaf.
Okay. I go a little loud. I like, because I understand I work with kids, and sometimes they always want to volunteer, and I'm just like, I feel that same sentiment, like, because that's more work. But then I think we could change that perspective also and see it as an opportunity and see them as, reaching a goal, like how Thomas was saying, like that was his opportunity to be at the position where he's at. So it's like, instead of seeing it like another burden, we kind of could change the perspective, like an opportunity to change somebody else's path, into something positive.
I appreciate that. We definitely, I think we'll bring it back and put it on the internal agenda to
Good.
talk about
Mhm.
and see how and if it can work in the library.
It is most effective if we have a particular program.
Program where people can
Yeah.
volunteer
And
into,
yes.
like you said, the reading
Yeah.
or the homework.
Yes.
Right, specific tasks.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
People are, yeah. So I have a follow-up to this whole thing. Are you looking for a statement from the commission in support of these? I think that's what you're
Yes.
looking for. So who will write that statement, and how will we proceed with that statement?
Can I offer, I know you wrote to submit a statement of support, but you all are individuals, and I think you're hearing kind of where we're coming from, and you have information, even if it was a phone call during city council meetings, during open forum, right? Or if there's an item on budget, to be able to speak individually, or if you all agreed on something and you can say, I'm speaking on behalf of, but it would be up to you all to write something. We'd not want to write it for you, but based on information we're providing, it could be individually or a joint statement.
And I think some of this will be coming up for mid-year budget.
It has not been, the agenda for the meeting on the 21st has not been published yet, I don't believe.
I think the mid-year budget finalized review is on the 28th.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I didn't know if they was going to make it for the 21st or if it was coming back on the 28th.
I heard the 28th, but
Okay.
you know how things change.
No, things do
so,
change, and I
yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
checked. So what we will do is let you all know when the mid-year budget
Okay.
will be presented, and then where there are opportunities where the budget will be presented for next fiscal year. Because we're doing mid-year now a little late, and then we're going to start to talk about next fiscal year right after. Right away. So there will be opportunities at many city council meetings to talk about budget and to advocate for us to have additional resources and support things that the library staff is promoting.
And we will certainly let you know what things are going to be on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
Of
will
what-
highlight page 5, because there's a lot of documents.
Yeah.
As Vice Mayor knows,
I know.
there's lots of attachments and things, and so we could definitely pinpoint in the packet of, 200 pages of budget documents, where it's talking about the library. And you can understand what it is we're asking for, either as part of mid-year or next year.
There was a lot of, are we discussing mid-year right now, or am I working on
We're
the
still, the
appropriation?
council is still discussing mid-year. We hope by the end of this month,
Yes.
mid-year budget review will be over and done with, and then we start immediately on the next fiscal year budget.
And even in our packet here, we have a draft budget.
You have, yes.
For
That's for the coming fiscal year.
3/24.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
It's a mix,
So-
right, you have a mix of current year,
It does show current
Yeah,
year.
and then what was
yeah,
proposed, and this
okay.
is very
So-
drafty, as you see.
Yeah.
Very
We
good.
can certainly take a look at this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Sounds good.
Well, Chandra, do you know, and maybe the commissioners would like to know where we're at in the library director recruitment process?
Yes. So the library, I want to say, if 2 weeks after we got notification of the library director resigning, that we worked with the current, we have a current consultant that did the first recruitment for us called CPS HR. They have a really nice clause in their contract that if the person doesn't last for a year,
Oh,
they will redo your recruitment for you, and all you have to pay is for a very small amount for like actual cost, but you don't have to pay for the whole recruitment over.
right.
So they were very quick, and it was easy for them to relaunch the recruitment. We, being myself and HR staff, are meeting with the recruiters next week to get an update. I have seen very preliminary, high-level information, just name and kind of current job, of over 25 applicants.
Yeah, that's,
So they shared that last time, over 25 applicants, and maybe more than that. And then what will happen next is we, CPS HR will do a vetting themselves to make sure people have met MQs, and so they then provide us as staff a list of individuals who they think are worthy of us even talking to.
yeah.
So they get to weed out a bunch of folks for us, and then they bring us, last time they brought us 8 people that we were able to look at, and then we worked with library staff. So we got librarians and people from LEAP and others. We had an internal and external panel. We had some members from the commission, or at least one member from the commission on the panel. And we also, so that was for the first round of interviews. We'll do something very similar because it's really important that staff from both library and LEAP are a part of the process, as well as you all. And I think we have somebody from the foundation and Friends also as part of that. And then they will, after that process, they we got 3 individuals that we interviewed, and we being myself and Melinda at the time, who was the interim. And so that we had the librarians do a lot. They actually had to, or the potential applicant, they actually did half a day of interviews where they did an interview with us, but then they also came to the library and met with library staff and got a chance just to have an informal conversation. And then they also spent an hour at LEAP. So it was 3 hours where we really wanted them to understand And so we want to do something very similar. I felt like I hope it was helpful for staff to really be engaged. We wanted to engage as many staff as possible. So we're going to try and do the same thing. I do not see somebody being on board because this process takes time, probably until July. So I think it's going to be a few more months. And I will, it looks like the library will have me until then. I am not the interim. I am still serving in my capacity, but I sit here most days for the majority of the time in the office and provide support. But I don't have an MLIS, so I'm not the interim director. But it's been very difficult for us to find an interim. Very difficult. And I have turned over every stone, every leaf, things that I thought were stones weren't really stones. I really have. I've taken every recommendation. People are either who are retired or either living their best retired life. Right? Like, can't really dedicate the time, can only come in 2 hours. I mean, it's 2 days, or they're somewhere else, or they're traveling. So it has not worked out. We looked for a very long time with the help of a lot of different folks to help us find someone, and it didn't work itself out. So I will sit here until we find someone.
Yay, Lushonda.
I'm enjoying it. I don't know if people may not be, loving me, but it's okay.
I appreciate it.
I was
I'm
on
enjoying
one
it.
of the committees, the interview committees for the last
Yeah.
selection, and it was interesting, very interesting to meet all those people and kind of be in on that process.
I gave you, I'm sure, way more than you asked for, but that's all of it that I have, so you just know where we are. We're trying to move it along as quickly as possible, but we want to find someone who's going to stay and stick and be a really good fit for the library and lead.
Thank you.
So there, should I make a motion about that support statement? I heard two different things. On page 29, Christopher has a motion there to submit statement of support for additional library position funding.
Yes, please.
So there are two things involved here. LaShonda said that we can do this as individuals, as individual commissioners, and we can also do it as a commission. Statement of support, either in public comments at council meetings, or I assume it would be also appropriate to submit something in writing.
To council members.
Yeah. And we could do it through
Sure,
Gail, I
pass
guess.
it on,
Yeah.
for sure.
So the question is, what do we want to do?
All I can say is that for anytime that anything needs to be presented to city council or our voices need to be a part of city council as far as representing the library, I'm 100% in on doing that sort of thing. Whether or not we want it to be as a collective, our voices and statements can be a collective, and then as far as a person being a voice, as far as timing or commitments and that sort of thing, I'm happy to do that sort of thing. So I guess, I think we should accept and decide proposals as a commission, and then it will be presented in a proper fashion to the city council in meetings advocating for the library. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, so what I'd like to do then is make a motion that we take this verbiage that Christopher has given us and turn it into a statement.
Okay.
And then, I don't know how,
Sure.
it's going to have to be done kind of quickly, but can we approve this more or less in principle, and then have someone actually do it, send it out to us all for a final kind of, okay, that sounds good to me, and then present that, give that to Gail or to whoever the appropriate person is.
And I think just so I'm clear, your tree, as far as how it's breaking down, is we get the information from them. We observe it, and then as far as the information of
Who's they?
I'm sorry, like Christopher Larson.
Yeah, well, we have this right here on page 28. This is what they'd like to see.
Right.
Okay. What we're saying is we support this.
Yeah.
That's what I would
Yeah.
like to do.
Okay.
So we'd like to see more money for increased staffing
Lots
and expanded hours.
Yeah.
Is that
And
it?
that's kind of what it says.
Okay.
Pretty general, yeah.
That's
And
what it
actually,
is.
that's this right here. So the only sticking point is who's going to write this up? I mean, it won't take much. We can just take this language, but put it into a form that, and obviously we don't have to, put in any extraneous, but just, okay, this is what we support.
Okay.
So is that what you're willing to do?
I'll be willing to do that,
Okay,
absolutely,
okay,
yes.
okay. So I make a motion
Thank you.
that we take this information from page 28 on the Library Commission support for library hour expansion and put it into a form that can be delivered to the city council.
Does the Library Commission have its own letterhead at all, or no?
I don't think so.
No?
No.
I haven't
Some
seen
Nothing
point that would
official.
be nice, if you'd have a little
Yes, yes, yes.
Richmond
Would-
Library
Make it official
Commission.
looking.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be.
But maybe just put it in nice big letters, statement
right,
from
right.
Richmond.
Okay,
Somebody had some graphic design experience, but don't look at
In the
me.
meantime, yeah, we can work on that, but that won't be the emphasis right
This
now.
time.
If you send it to me, I will send it to Trina, who's the city council liaison, and say, Trina, I'm the liaison to the Library Commission. They gave me this. Will you send it to all the council members?
Okay,
So
okay.
that
Great,
would be
great,
the
great.
process I
Okay,
would do.
okay.
So if you can-
And we
Because
need
they
to
don't
do
like
this-
us to, there's the Brown Act and I.
Do you want,
Oh, yeah.
do you have any numbers? We want budget, but is there some kind of
There's,
a figure you want us to name?
well, there's the number of people.
Number
are-
of
People,
are
okay.
named- Are named in
And the
here.
number of hours, but
And then,
not,
but
not-
that money?
not fiscal stuff, no.
Okay.
That'll depend on who they hire.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, well, you made a
Okay.
motion, do we have a second?
I second it. I second it.
You phrased it in a way
Oh.
that I didn't write down.
Well, somebody should be writing this down. Okay,
We're recording it.
so, okay.
Yes.
Just for,
That's, you could have that, just to, that's my, I mean, others can have theirs too.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
so I think it falls under the vote summary. And I think I'm going to read the vote summary, unless your verbiage is different than what.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's-
the motion to submit statement of support for additional library position funding to city manager and city council.
Yeah.
Commissioner Khan?
I move that.
Okay, Commissioner Hines?
I second it.
Okay.
Okay, good.
And so with roll call,
Okay,
all those in favor, or present your place of what you would like.
Aye.
Commissioner Khan is an aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Hines?
And
And Commissioner King?
Aye.
And Commissioner Harrison is an aye. So, that being
And
said,
can we have a deadline on this so that we get this by the end of maybe next week? I mean, we need to move on it because the city council is going to be considering this. By the
Probably
end of the
March
month.
28th,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to happen.
okay, March 28th. Okay.
Right?
So the motion to submit statement of support for additional library position funding to the city manager and the city council passes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on 7D, please.
All right. This is the policy document. There is a copy of it there. This is that we had a process late last year of review of, a large part of it was the collection policy, which the Library Commission, in addition to being an advisory board to City Council, there's specifically established a policy for the selection of materials to be purchased and circulated by the Richmond Public Library. That was a large part of what we were concerned with doing. in this, but it is part of a larger policy document made up of several things that are either ALA statements and some that we had as local policy that had been previously approved, in which case there are notes to that effect at the end of each section. And then others that are draft. It has been out for review by all of the staff. I had asked for any comments to be received by March 15th. I had received some feedback. Much of that has been incorporated into it. I will also be sending it over to our city attorney for legal review. But I wanted the commission to have it so that you could do review and decide how to move with it. So the action on this would be to basically to accept the document for review, and then you could decide whether you wish to do this in subcommittee form or how you would prefer to go forward.
Sure. Good. Yeah, sure. No, this is great, and I noticed that the pages were either said they had been adopted or they hadn't been adopted, or they didn't have a date, let's put it that
Right.
way. So I thought, well, okay, this is great. So I know that we haven't all read this. I mean, I've looked at it, but I haven't read it. But I would like to move that we accept this for review and continue with the process as appropriate. And what does your thing say? Accept the document for review and appoint, if desired, commissioners to a subcommittee. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, if there is if there is interest by a couple of us to meet to review the document, sure. I mean, I would move that as well.
All right, so do we have any takers on a subcommittee for to review the documents, the policy, Richmond Public Library City Policy Manual?
Volunteer.
Excellent.
Okay.
And refresh my memory on, do we need to approve these subcommittees?
You would vote as a...
Oh, okay. And, okay.
I'd be glad to meet with Marcella.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we'll meet and just go over the document and we'll get it out as soon as we can, or get our comments out or whatever.
And there has to be a time frame
Yes,
for the
yes.
subcommittee.
The time frame?
Yeah.
How long?
How
the
long do you
subcommittee
want
will meet for?
Okay.
for a period
How's
of,
everyone's
I don't
schedule?
know,
3 months, 2 months,
Yeah.
or whatever.
1 month. I want to get it done.
We appreciate that, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve a subcommittee for the review of the Richmond Public Library Policy Manual, including Commissioner Khan and Commissioner Jaimes.
for a period of.
For a period of 1 month. Thank you.
Second?
Okay, so the motion to form a subcommittee to review the Richmond Public Library Policy Manual for 1 month has been, so I'm going to go through roll call now.
Actually, let's think about this. We're not going to, well, we don't know when we're going to meet next. We haven't made that decision. But if we're not going to meet for 2 months, maybe we should make the committee go for 2 months, just so that it will be for the next meeting.
Okay.
Assuming it's going to be in 2 months.
So
It might be sooner, but.
Okay, so do I need
So
to strike that first motion?
Well, no. It's just a friendly
Okay.
amendment. Yeah,
Okay, friendly amendment.
I mean, and then it has to be voted on.
Okay, so all those are in favor of the subcommittee formed by Commissioner Khan and Commissioner Jaimes for the duration of 2 months to review the Richmond Public Library Policy Manual. And please state your vote. Commissioner Khan?
Aye.
Commissioner Jaimes? Commissioner King?
Aye.
And Commissioner Harrison is an aye as well.
Okay.
So motion passes, please.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Lisa, I remember that I haven't been doing absent or,
It's fine.
okay.
It is just fine.
Okay,
You're doing great, so.
thanks, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
You just disposed of a huge amount of your.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I
Physically,
At
physically.
least
I
physically.
printed it out early just to review because it was having trouble with my, and I walked away and I was like,
What did I do?
oh my goodness. Okay,
And by the way, thank you. I mean, I'm so glad to see this.
Yeah.
Because I think this is very important.
Mhm.
okay. So, Mr. Larson, anything you care to add to, we're done with the policy manual?
Thank you.
So, okay, item 7E, please. Review of proposed library fiscal year 2023 to 2024 budgets, pages 89 to 92.
So I'm including this because you're an advisory board. You also are particularly charged with making recommendations for capital expenditures and improvements to the Richmond Public Library. This budget at the time, this draft here is operating budget basically, so it does not include personnel in it, which is part of the reason there's a separate item for personnel. So I just want to point out some things that, some changes that were made. We did have, in the past, we had things, if you were to go to page 90, I know the date is right on top of it, but
Yeah.
it says library, we have different funds, so we're broken out. There's library administration, which actually is the fund that we put all of our personnel costs into. And then we have adult and teen, which is called reference services in it. We have cataloging access services, a children's services budget, and a circulation, and then a separate one for branches and mobile or extension services. A lot of what was done here, we were going for baseline. There's slightly variance that we put in for part-time temporary staff because we found that we use them so much. That could be reduced by the fact that if we had full-time positions approved. So there could be some savings there. You might notice we did up audit services because we have some very large grants right now.
Okay.
We also are trying to put more money in toward training and being able to have some of our staff go to conferences, professional conferences. This has not happened for several years now, but it is important for people to go out, get new ideas, see new things. There are some lines that were in administration, and we zeroed them out sometimes because we do not, for example, replacement for lost damage originally had $20,000 in it, and we don't bill to that budget, so it didn't make sense to have it. We also had an adult book collection here that was $30,000, where we actually have a separate budget for adult book collection. So we took the funds and moved it. So there were some things where we were moving to try to make this, that the administration is personnel costs, conference costs, training costs, that sort of thing. And then each of the adult and teen and others were primarily whatever the major function was of that section. So you'll see that actually that caused the library administration budget to go down this was the revised budget was 341, our proposed is 308. But then if you were to go to adult and teen reference services, the professional services is what we use for contracting for performers or speakers. Those, we have not had a budget in that for several years now. So we are proposing to put that in. There are various costs that are broken out here of our different programs. We also put money into, for teen programming, set aside. One thing that changed is the adult collection. We did reduce that somewhat because of the fact that we are looking at the closure of this building for renovation, and therefore we just physically will not have space to have $78,000 worth of new books coming in. Not to say we're not going to be trying to have everything new, but we also are adding Newsbank, which is online newspapers. That should be added this year. We'll be continuing it. Hoopla is an online service for streaming videos and movies as well as magazines and books, and we were proposing an increase to that, partly because we will be renovating and therefore might be providing greater access. We do actually have 35 more laptops that we just received that we will be setting up for circulation to patrons. The access services, we did not change the budget very much. It's those are costs typically for cataloging. Children's services, here we also, there had not been a set-aside budget for programming for children's. So we put money into that. We have a current purchase of playaways that we are working on right now, which are preloaded audiobooks and also learning tablets to replace our old AWE station. That these can be checked out, so they are going. We want to continue being able to build that collection, so some money was put there, and they had not had dedicated funding for ebooks, so we added that.
Can I just ask if
Yes.
this highlighted, the yellow highlighted is like proposed for the new budget?
It was where it's a little inconsistent, and I apologize for that, but it was highlighting primarily of major changes,
Okay.
but it is somewhat inconsistent.
I just wasn't sure what it
Apologies.
meant in each column.
Then we had circulation services. In most cases where there are slight increases, it's because of increases in what they are charging us. We are looking at, we did put 10,000 in for looking at getting book lockers that we could place at community centers to increase the number of places that people could pick up books and return them. So we're looking particularly at
When this building closes.
when this building closes, but also just ongoing, on general, because we realize that even though our libraries are not terribly far apart, it actually, if you're walking, they are quite far apart. And, you know, and there are various divisions such as the Greenway and things that create only certain access points through it. So trying to increase that we will deliver the book to a local place. You can look at some place like Parchester Village. You could be looking at May Valley or Shields Reed,
Yeah,
particularly. So
Richmond is incredibly spread out.
really is.
it is.
You know, and
And we are trying to find some way to be able to kind of reach out to those neighborhoods so that we're actually not requiring everyone to physically come to one of our branches in order to get the benefit of it.
But just for Gail's information, I live up in Hilltop Village, and of course it's not very well served by the library. And it's one of the reasons that I kind of thought, oh, gee, maybe I could get involved and something would change. So just, you know, by the way, you know, I'm quite a ways from any of the, and I generally go to the county libraries around me because there's several. So, you know, it would be great if we could, you know.
You have a drop
think
off,
about-
pick up.
Well,
point.
even a drop-off pickup point
Yeah.
would be great up there. Yeah.
like Amazon boxes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, at any rate,
That
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
great.
That's very modern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is continuing funding in here for, we are getting BiblioCommons, which is an incredibly widespread catalog enhancement that'll add a lot of nice things, make our catalog much more cohesive, because you currently, if you were to search one, you can search our catalog, or else you can get bumped out and have to search other resources that we have, this would actually bring them all together.
okay.
So that is, we're currently working on getting that finished and implemented, and then that's continuing funding for it. And then also for branches and mobile, again, there was no budget for programming, so we put one in. There is a seemingly large drop in the book budget. That is because we're not currently collecting for the bookmobile because we are replacing it, and it is currently not operating because of we can't register it. So at present, we took that budget out, but we also did increase the budget for the branches, partly because if we are going to be closed here, we would like them to have funding for that. And we did also put some funding in there for them for purchase of additional replacement furnishings, because some of the material, they might need extra furniture, and some of it is fairly aged. And then there are some, that last, above, the last kind of block of green on this page
Yes.
is that we are seeking some additional appropriations
Right.
for both doing strategic plan, for relocation costs, because while this building, we have the funding for the renovation of the building, we don't have any money for relocating
Yes, yes, yes.
and setting up a new space. And we're also seeking some funding for additional staff trainings to focus on work environment, work culture, and other things coming out of the pandemic. And
Does someone know when the renovations will start?
We don't know exactly, so we have until 2026, right?
Mhm.
To
March
actually-
31st of
March 31st
20.
of 2026 to spend the grant that we have. So we have some time. We were waiting for Public Works to hire some engineers, which they have done.
Yes.
And we actually just met with the CIP manager and the engineer this week, last week, it's a
It
blur.
was this week, it was
This week?
Tuesday.
Wow, it's a blur. It feels like it was 10 days ago.
Tuesday morning.
So we are getting started with, we needed engineers to be on board. And so they're gonna help us do a better job of like looking at a schedule and figuring out how long things are gonna take. They have the expertise. They actually, the library will be at the table through this whole process, but this will be a public works project because it's a facility and they manage facilities, renovations and all of that. So they're going to hire, with us once again at the table, an architect. They have to hire a project manager. And so once we get the team together, we'll have a better sense of when we could actually start the renovation and all of that. Some of that, that will depend on when we can find a location for us to move into and have someone as part of the RP so that the architect will help with relocation. So we don't have to try and figure it out ourselves. So we're moving now that we have the engineers on board. We're really happy about that and continuing to have conversations with them. So as we learn more, we will definitely share more with staff as well as with the commission.
Is some of the relocation costs going to come out of that?
No.
Of the grant, they can't.
No, they can't.
That's why
So
we're
it seems
asking.
like we should be asking for money for that.
So that's
too.
part of-
That
yeah.
was that last part here.
We're asking for some, and some of our numbers may not be
Yeah.
right, but that's
But
why
I
we're having some
mean, this-
architects and engineers help
this
us understand
current,
what our actual
action.
costs are.
Yeah.
So
The
we're
thing
also
that
thinking
we're
about
asking
ARPA
money
and
for
other things to
is
help us
for
with those.
relocation
This is
costs
just
as
draft.
Well,
well.
part of it
This is a
it's
draft.
in
We're
this
trying to
budget.
put
That
something
last
in.
little section, yeah.
Got our statement.
Oh, I got you.
Oh, well, we haven't even.
Yes.
We haven't even talked about
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That seems pretty crucial, time-wise.
So I'll move that we submit a statement of support for proposed FYI 2023-24 library budget to city manager and city council, with especially with regard to additional funds for renovation, library renovation project.
Relocation.
Whatever.
Both.
I mean,
Well,
it's both.
yeah, but the relocation is the
and-
first thing.
and- yeah, but, so, it doesn't need, I mean, it's in the budget, it's in this proposed
Right.
budget, but I just think that stating it might be a good thing.
Is there anything else you needed to add from the budget
No.
report? Okay, so do I have a second for this motion? Okay. So, I'm going to do a roll call then. All those in favor to submit statement of support for proposed FY 2023-24 library budget to city manager and city council, Commissioner Khan,
Aye.
Commissioner Hymas,
Aye.
Commissioner King,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison is an aye, so motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We will keep you updated on the budget because this was our first draft as staff. And
Right.
it goes through like 5 levels
Yeah.
before it's finalized by city
Sure.
It's
council.
finalized, like, we have to finalize it by the end of June, so
Okay.
we have some time on that,
Well,
but
yeah.
but it's really good to get
Right.
started right away.
Okay, so we are now at 7F. We're
Yeah.
Library Commission meeting frequency continued, pages 93 to 100, please. So, discussion, the Library Commission operates with the provisions. Should I read this whole thing?
This is the same report that I submitted last time,
Oh,
so.
okay, no, you don't have to.
So I think we're doing, we've been doing.
So-
Go ahead,
Yeah, so our next meeting would be May 18th.
May 18th.
I will not be able to attend in person.
I won't either.
I would be able to attend if it was possible by, some other means, electronic means, but I'm not sure if that's possible. Let's see.
What is
I
your-
I can't attend electronically at all
Oh,
either.
okay,
so.
okay. So,
What is the availability of Commissioner Khan and Commissioner King?
well, I'm going to be out of the country from April 24th to May 22nd. So, conceivably,
We're talking May 18th.
we could go to May 26th. Oh, let's see. Wait a minute. Yeah, well, whenever the meeting is, I think maybe it'll be the 11th. Is it the third Thursday?
It's May 18th?
Is it the third Thursday? Because the first is a
Third Thursday. yeah.
So it's the 11th. I guess it's the 11th. It would be. But I won't be back until the 22nd. So we could move it to the 25th.
I'm okay with.
You can always do a special, you would, if
Yeah,
you're going
yeah,
to keep
yeah,
your regular
yeah.
schedule, it would be a special meeting, which
Yeah.
is fine.
I can't make the 25th.
Okay.
So-
But there's
Well, I
three
know.
of you, so you
If
could
there
still
are
have
three
a
of us,
meeting.
we can have the meeting. Question I have then is there anything in here that we need to do before that? We're going to work on these little, recommendations, or whatever we're calling them, to the city council. In the meantime, can that all just be done, we don't need to approve those again, or meet to approve them, or anything?
Yeah, I think once we get information, we could just do it, well, as far as sharing it, how do we share it? As far as,
Well, we sent it to Lisa, whatever we've got. We sent to Lisa, and then she's the one who sent it out to everybody.
and you have to be you're on everything that everything, okay, well, that's,
Can we just
Well, your
do that?
subcommittee's
Brian?
already been formed, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when I
yeah.
communicate, I'm communicating with the subcommittee members.
okay.
But whatever you want to present as a subcommittee, if you wanted to do that document in writing, for example, you can draft your own document and return it to me
Right, okay.
as a committee or as whatever you formed tonight, and then I can distribute it to Council McLaughlin and/or however you choose.
I could send it to Trina for the council, plus to Shasa Curl, our city manager, because she needs to see it too.
So just let me, Tom Miss,
Thank you.
sorry.
Thank you.
You could write up this recommendation, send it to Lisa. Lisa could send it to us, other commissioners, and then from there, send it on to Gail and.
That could be a way to do it. Yeah, that could be one way
Does that
to do
sound
it.
like?
And the same for the one that.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that way, if we can't meet physically, we can do it by
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we need to
Absolutely.
figure out
email
that.
or attachment or whatever.
Okay.
I'm just kind of confused, because May 11th, I don't have my calendar in
Oh.
front of me, isn't the third,
Thursday,
Thursday.
no.
Oh,
May
you're right.
18th.
It is May.
It's May
18th.
It doesn't matter.
'Cause
Neither
you
of
can't
us
do
are
that.
going to be here.
Neither of us.
Neither of us are going to be here.
Do
It's
that.
okay.
special meeting?
No, I was looking, and it looked like a 1, and it's actually a T for Thursday. Never mind. Okay, so it's the 20, but the 25th, I can,
So we're having a special meeting on the 25th.
yeah, or postponing the meeting.
And then we have to vote for it too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, now do we have to strike the original meeting on the 18th? Or
You
just
can-
propose a new one?
I think
So
we
what-
can just say
You can, I think
postpone.
as a chair,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
could call
well,
a
that's
special,
right,
you
that's
can call a
right.
special
Yeah,
meeting
yeah,
as a
yeah.
chair.
Okay,
And so,
And you're ready.
you all have kind of already decided
Okay.
that that works for you all, and so
Great.
what we will do as staff is we will put out an announcement that the regular meeting is canceled,
Right,
and then we will
Okay.
put something out that a special
Okay.
meeting is taking place,
okay.
and post
Great,
it, and we'll do all that work.
Okay,
And put
okay.
put out the agenda.
Yeah.
So I would like to make a motion to have a special meeting on 5/25, on May 25th, 2023. Am I following that with anything else?
Are you keeping, are you keeping your regular
And we
schedule where
are-
it's usually every other
Yes,
month?
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Outside of that?
Well,
Okay.
we haven't really voted on
Addressed
that
that
yet.
Yeah, okay, 'cause it-
But, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But we're okay with the special meeting for now,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
okay. So making a motion, I'd like to make a motion to have a special meeting, Library Commission meeting on May 25th, 2023.
Canceling
Canceling
your May 18th
our May 18th
Yes.
Scheduled meeting,
regularly scheduled meeting. Yes.
regularly scheduled meeting, thank you.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Okay, so state your position, Commissioner Khan,
Aye.
Commissioner Jaimes, Commissioner Key,
Aye.
and Commissioner Harrison. Aye. I almost forgot it was me. So the motion passes to have a special Library Commission meeting on May 25th and canceling our regularly bi-monthly meeting on May 18th. Okay? Motion passes. Thank you. Now, on the order of continuing
Yeah.
our bi-monthly, our meetings, do we want to take a hard look at our schedules right now? Or is it a matter of, if we are regularly scheduled bi-monthly, is there an issue where we would have to keep coming up and organizing special meetings due to our availability?
If we want to keep it the way it is every other month, I don't think we have to do anything.
Okay.
Just, but if we want to start meeting every month, that's something we
That's
have
where we
to,
have to vote.
that's what we have to decide.
Right, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My only concern is we, one of our things we did this evening was, we said that we were going to be more kind of, well, we didn't make a decision, but there was this discussion about, on page 25, library commissioners as representatives at community meetings, varying location or time of meetings to encourage public participation, special meetings to encourage public participation or for listening sessions. So we did discuss that. We didn't really do anything in particular about it. But one of the things I'm concerned about is I'll look at the little library newsletter and I'll say, oh, I'd like to go to that, but gee, I can't because I'm doing something else. I would like to, and you brought it up earlier, I think, LaShonda, something about a calendar. Because, having a calendar that was more general, events in Richmond or, whatever, I don't know, would certainly be helpful. Because then we could begin to see, even the notion of attending, like the Friends of a Richmond Public Library or the foundation meetings, I've thought about it, but I don't really, I have to go to their website and I have to kind of, okay, well, where are they and what, would I be welcome? And, all of this sort of thing comes up in my head, and so I don't do it. I mean, that's the thing. I'd like to be more proactive and feel more comfortable doing stuff like that. And whatever we can do to make that happen, I would appreciate. So,
Noted.
okay.
Yeah, regarding that, I mean, I think, I was traveling and your wonderful event, and I was bummed that I wasn't able to attend, especially as a commissioner, but, I'm personally, as a Richmond resident and commissioner, am looking forward to, for my own self, being a part of a lot of these events that I can't be a part of, without any judgment on anybody who completely misses them every single time. So that's my course of action as a committee member or a commission member. And yes, if there were something like a shared calendar, I do try and do my due diligence just in general, as far as looking at the library's website or the city's website, that sort of thing. But yes, sometimes I'm not always able to catch anything. But I think what I would like, and tell me if this is allowed or not allowed, but just to be in discussion, like almost like a tag, like, are one of us able to go to this? This is coming up. Or
Yeah,
is one of us able to
yeah,
do
yeah.
this or be a presence here?
Yeah.
So as a commission, maybe taking that into consideration, and I plan to hopefully be a part of it as much as I can.
Yeah.
But I know we're all busy.
That's a good idea, if, and then you wouldn't have to be the one to go to the Friends of the Library every time they have a meeting. One of us could go another time, and we could take turns, like, popping into things like that, and then it wouldn't be such a burden.
I will say too, like as far as when we saw the map layout, I think one of the last meetings in there, you're involved in the HOAs and just everybody within their neighborhoods, like trying to like find out what's going on in your neighborhood and the surrounding areas, so that we can, talk to these local neighborhood committees and things like that. So those are just things to take into consideration. It's about our approach as far as how we're going to have a presence, I think.
Yeah, and as much as we can share, all the better. It's a little awkward because we don't necessarily all have each other's emails, and there's that concern about, meeting and all that. But it makes it a little awkward to be able to share.
Sure.
When we all have to kind of go through one person, and we're kind of putting a burden on that person, even though, you could say it's their job, but at the same time, it just, it's a little awkward.
Okay.
So whatever ways we have of contacting one another, I encourage people to do that. Share things. Yeah.
And would we be sharing, say, a group email through you? Is that allowed or no? Like, hey, this event's happening. Can we all, is anyone else going to be there? That sort of thing.
Oh, I have no experience with that, so.
And then we have to, I need to think about that a little bit or talk to legal,
Yeah.
because the problem, what you don't want to do is have a serial meeting, right? Where you're,
sure.
where you're talking about
Yeah,
business.
Yes.
But
sure.
I want to be careful. In my head, I'm thinking or hoping, and maybe Vice Mayor, if it's an event and you're saying, and you have your emails and saying, is anyone else going? Because I'm tabling.
Yeah.
I hope that's different,
I
but maybe
think it is different.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if it's you're just trying to work out some scheduling, who's going to go, you're not going to be violating the Brown Act,
Oh, great, okay. Well, that's good to hear.
That's good to
Thank
know.
you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Sure.
just- I'm always nervous, like I
Yeah,
was.
no.
It feels like it would be okay. But so if it's something very simple like that, Or we may send an email out and say, we have a tabling opportunity to
Mhm.
all of you, and you all can say if you can come or not. But either way, so there's nothing wrong with you having each other's contact information.
Okay.
You just have to be careful about
Yeah,
how you're communicating and what you're communicating about.
Yes, exactly.
You don't want to
Okay.
say, I'm going to start asking the city council
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a new
yeah.
library. Are you with me?
Yeah,
You know, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you're like violating the front, even though I think we should all be advocating for a new library.
Fully agree with that idea.
But you can't talk about, you know, like actual policies or
Yes,
programs
yes.
or capital you know, you could do it in this meeting, of
Yeah,
course, but
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
outside of the meeting, yeah.
I know we're near the end of our meeting here, but
Right.
I think I'm going to try to go to CLA this year. It's in Sacramento, and I think it's the first weekend of June. And I'm on a committee, I represent CSLA, the California School Library Association, to the California Library Association. So I plan on going up there at least for a day or two. And I know last year, Melinda, encouraged me to go as a, from the Richmond Public Library. This budget isn't for this year, it's for next year, right? You're talking about those membership. I mean, you're a member of CLA.
I am,
as
yes.
But
And
the
the
library.
library is
And the
also.
library. So you have certain, I don't know who you send to represent you, or anybody? or-
We actually have moved money this year
Okay.
to put
okay.
into that budget, so we're
Okay,
hoping to send some
okay.
people.
So if somebody's going, I'd like to know that.
Okay.
So that.
Absolutely.
What is CLA? Is that
The
California?
California Library Association, and it's mostly the public libraries. I mean, there are, universities also, but mostly public.
I used to work for the American Library Association
Oh.
in Chicago
Oh,
as a
okay.
research assistant. That was years ago in the
Yes,
80s,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's why I thought maybe CLA is California Library, so I was right, okay.
Yeah, so they noticed that I was involved now with the public library, and they said, "Oh, you're the perfect person to go to."
All right, go for it.
I have both hats.
So I think I'm going to circle us back to, because we went off, as far as we need to confirm our frequency meetings.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know, I think people kind of just are fine.
Yeah,
They-
I'd say
Yeah, I don't think there's a big interest in
Okay,
going
and if
on
we need
way
to
at
change
this
it,
point.
Yeah.
And if you ever
Okay,
need to call a special meeting,
sure.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can do that,
yeah.
yeah.
and if there's something that needs to happen in between, you can do that too.
Okay, so circling back to that,
Okay,
one.
okay.
So whether to adopt a monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly meeting schedule and set the day and time of meeting, or keep the current bi-monthly meeting schedule it is. The Library Commission is in favor, or voting on, keeping the bi-monthly schedule as is. So with roll call.
I don't even think you have to
Oh,
do
we don't need to do that.
that. Because you're not
Yeah,
changing
yeah,
anything,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing to vote on.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
I just want that.
I
Okay.
appreciate it.
That's easy, keep it easy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so. Is that it?
There's
G.
G.
Oh, no, you took G off, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
G's
yeah,
off.
G's
G's
gone.
off, right.
We still have 8, 9, and 10 on the agenda.
So,
Okay.
items of interest.
Well, I guess that statement I made was in number 8. Announcements,
My big thing is just kind of, I'm wondering about getting, I keep saying the word form, but, and I don't know if this is the right place to discuss this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but just as far as getting, talking to library staff, wants and needs, or things like that, and just seeing what's, what kind of stuff you're doing and that sort of, like more looking at the positives, because I think when you see that thing in like the city council, and then that whole, you're not doing this, and chomp, chomp, chomp. And so it's more of a matter of just, I personally would like to speak with the employees but I don't know if that's possible or if it's even doable, if you're like, or if Mr. Lewis is like, yeah, just stay away.
No,
I've been
I'm fine.
talking to them.
Okay.
I've been talking to them.
Now,
I don't have a
I
problem with
learn
that.
very interesting things when I talk.
I'm sure you do.
And that's the thing, that's my other question, because I was in yesterday, and I was, and I know Sheila from back when my son was, wasn't even in school yet. So, and I'm just like, I don't know what we can talk about, I don't know. So, it's that kind of thing.
You don't have to worry about the Brown Act
Okay.
You're talking as you're talking
as a civilian.
to,
And
as
as
a
a
resident,
commissioner.
and you're having a conversation.
Yeah.
If you're trying to do something more formal,
Mhm.
where, you want us to convene staff, and we would have to figure that out. But if it's one-on-one as you come in and you want to have a conversation and someone has time, or if you wanted us to connect you with staff, like, we just would need to,
Sure.
that could be an email for
Okay.
those who are interested in that.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just, I would like to, it's been a while since I've hit every branch, but, just introducing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because when I do in a certain branch, I was like, oh, I haven't seen you in forever, but, so, my question is, am I free to discuss, and as I introduce myself as a representative, and just have a conversation?
You are.
Okay.
And something we can think about too is for a future meeting with staff meeting,
Oh.
inviting you all.
Yeah.
and, or, a few of you, whatever, and let you introduce yourself and let staff just know who you are, and if they see you coming into the library,
Yeah.
we can do that. We're moving from, we were having staff meetings every other month. I've asked for them to be every month now.
Oh, okay.
And so we want to have more opportunities for staff to get together. They're from 9 to 10. I don't know what day of the week, I forgot, but.
It's
Thursday.
Thursdays. I don't know, I can't remember if it's the.
But if that's something
third
that's interesting,
Thursday.
you can invite, and
Yeah.
and you can get introduced and get to know staff and sit in on a meeting and hear about updates
I
and,
think that'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great for me.
And if-
When I first got onto the commission, one of the things I wanted to do, because I hadn't been going to the libraries, was just go to the libraries and see them.
Yeah.
Because- And so I did, and I met the two people who ran the two branches. And one of the funny things is, when I came into the main library here, I asked somebody at the desk where the library director was, and they didn't know. I thought, okay, wait a minute. So I came over to the children's library, and I was talking to the children's librarians, and they seemed to be much more, sort of on top of things, and said, yeah, she's just around the corner here. Let me call her, and, whatever. So I went over and I talked to, I met Diana that way, and, so, yeah, you don't be shy.
Okay, great.
You don't be shy, yeah.
Great.
I think they need to know us.
And also, if the timing of our meetings doesn't work or something, let me know. I mean, if you want, or you just haven't met a specific person, I honestly have no problem with you meeting people, so.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would they be by any chance virtually? Or
our staff meetings are usually.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice. Because then I know I'm working during those times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I don't want to be a barrier between people, so if you want to meet with somebody,
Yeah.
I can connect you if you need to, or.
Yeah, I mean, it might be overstepping and saying like, I'm always just like, I'll be an ear,
Yeah.
what's going on, what can I help with more than anything.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think that's
And
what-
they'll let you know.
We will,
But-
and, yeah, we would ask, I will ask that you circle back with us as staff, because oftentimes I think it's funny, I'm always like, my door's open, but nobody comes in. But they may talk to you and share something.
Yes,
Or they'll
yes,
talk
yes,
to a
yes,
resident
yeah,
and
yeah,
say
yeah.
something. And
All
so
right,
I
yes.
always tell folks, like, I would greatly appreciate it, because they may be more honest with you than they will with me.
Right.
And so to come back and say, you know what, without giving me a name, because it's not about that, this is what I heard.
Yeah.
And it's all about support. It's
Yes.
supporting
Yes,
so that the library is being what the library needs to be.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because I would rather the feedback get to me, even if it's, even if it's filtering through someone else.
Right.
I'd rather get it so that I know what I need to be
It
doing.
might be more honest if it's coming from
And it
someone
could be
else.
more honest because
Yeah.
they're not having to
Dealing
speak to me as their
directly.
manager.
Yeah,
Right.
to the boss.
So they might be willing to give you more
Uh-huh.
feedback, and it may not be something I really
Wanna
like,
hear,
but that's
yeah.
fine. It's because honestly, it's about the fact that we need to be providing these services.
Yeah.
And what do we need to be doing
For
to be able to
everybody.
get to that point where we're providing the service appropriately. So
Okay.
I would appreciate it.
Thank you, that answered my question. Any other items of interest?
Yeah, Lisa and I met, and over this issue of our Library Commission report, and after talking a lot, right, Lisa? I mean, in that room next door, we kind of came to the conclusion, well, this is our report, meaning the commission's report, not the library report. We're reporting on the library programs and, you know, and issues in that to the city council. So you said the last one you could find was from 1964. Can you share that with us, or?
Sure.
Was it a written report?
It was
Because
typed, yeah, it was typed up.
there wasn't like PowerPoints then.
No,
so-
it was a nice, it was a nicely typed.
Mimeograph.
It was actually, one thing that was lovely is it actually had I think it had every commissioner listed on it and everything. It was really quite nice, but.
Yeah, okay.
And
We're
it
just
did-
getting some idea, because the fact that we haven't done this in so long, and yet it, you know, it's there, it's in the code.
We do have something more current. We did mention the video
Yes,
that we
yes,
were
yeah.
going to
We-
share. Okay.
Was it
And was there-
2010,
Oh,
somewhere
okay,
around
okay,
there,
yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
around.
20 what?
2010.
Yeah.
2010? Was it a PowerPoint then, or?
Mhm.
It was a presentation when you were the mayor.
Yeah,
Back then.
okay.
Okay.
And-
So, yeah, is that what do you want to do a PowerPoint? Or do
Well,
you want
we'd like
just
to do something, you know. I mean,
whatever you all decide,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And whether, you know, whether it's something where we're there and presenting something, or it's just, you know, a
Written thing.
written thing.
Yeah, written is fine
That
too.
will be, you know, that's still to be determined, but but we'll need to work more on that. I mean, we'll need to figure out how that's going to work.
And you mentioned Oakland, you showed us something.
Oh,
that-
yes, yes.
That was like, but that was like the Oakland Library, not the Oakland Library Commission.
Actually, it was the
It-
commission also participated in that.
Yeah, there was a little letter or something
Mhm.
from the commission that, you know, but it wasn't what I would do. I mean, it was a little bit different from what I would do. And so we need to kind of keep this, you know, on the agenda and see what, you know, what we need to do to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Okay.
Because what this is kind of an outsider's view of the library.
Yeah, I think that's, it's, you know, we haven't always had commissions report to the city council, but I think it's a wonderful idea. I mean, we're starting now to have the, well, we used to call it the police commission, what's it called now, the
CPRC, is that the one?
what was the?
Oh, the
poli-
Reimagine?
No,
I'm
say it
sorry.
again.
CPRC, I'm
Yeah,
trying
the
to.
Community Police Review Committee.
Yeah, I had to
Yeah.
be like, what does this stand
And
for?
they gave a presentation last year or something, and they
Okay.
had it for a long time. So whatever you choose to
Okay,
do,
okay.
written or whatever,
Yeah,
I
okay.
encourage it.
Okay.
From your hearts,
Yeah,
from
yes,
your
yes, yeah.
your brains, not, you know, from staff, although staff's
Yeah.
reports are wonderful too.
Yes.
I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way.
No,
No, we're good, we're good.
Nobody does.
We know your heart. No, we,
Okay,
we're
all
okay.
But it's nice to hear from a different group of people,
No,
rather.
there's
Yes.
just a value,
Yeah, yeah, of
And
course,
yeah.
And that's why I think
Yeah.
it's there as one of our charges, is
Sure.
just to, you know, give that different point of view.
Any other commissioners? Okay. So moving on then to item 9, agenda setting for next meeting and future topics. Creation of bylaws. There's no attachment for this.
Those are sort of where we sort of park some things that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
continuously want to keep in the background. If you want to move that forward for next meeting and discussion, just tell us to do so, and we can develop it and help you develop a report for
Okay. good.
consideration.
I think we'll be moving it forward for a while.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, until we get a sample, it's hard to come up with bylaws just out of the blue. And so that might be helpful to see if we could find somebody who could give us
Okay.
a sample of bylaws that govern commissions. And, evidently we've gotten along quite well
Yeah.
without it, so it may not even be necessary. But the only thing we have right now is we know something about, we elect a chairperson, and the secretary, in reading I thought that was interesting, is the librarian, is the library director. So I thought that was interesting to read in the code.
Yeah.
And then that second thing, B. B is the thing that Rissa and I worked on last year. I think right now, I understand the idea of a work plan, and our whole thing last year was we didn't even know what the commission was. I mean, I was brand new. Rissa had been on for a while, but not very long. And we're all kind of new at this. And after that training meeting that we had, we're, I think, better equipped to understand, at least some of the things that we're supposed to be doing. But I'm not sure that the work plan is like an agenda for the year. Okay, this is what the Library Commission is going to be working on. And at this point, I don't see us really ready to do that. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I feel like with agenda items 9A and B, we should continue to move those forward.
Okay, just
Are we in
hold
agreement?
them.
Because I think with the relocation of the library and the renovation of the library, knowing a year ahead
Yeah.
what our work plan should be,
Sure.
seems to me to be like, how do we make that? I see going forward as the relocation of the library is going to be a huge
It's big.
thing for all of us to be like, okay, what's the most effective way that we can help keep the library, on everybody's mind
Okay.
Yeah,
while
positive.
all this is going on.
Mr. Larson?
Yeah, I would just make a suggestion that also, given that you're currently, there's hopefully plenty to do,
Yeah.
but also with something like the annual report, I would imagine perhaps a work plan
Yeah.
would be easier if once you've done it once,
Yes.
that then next year you would know, oh, at this point we need to start on this, and you could kind of, or that you could also then start calendaring in that you did like an annual review of policy or something. or
Yes,
just
yes.
that might be easier after having made it through some of the work
Right.
Okay. That's a
once
great idea.
to,
Can I do A and B at the same time? To move
We don't
forward?
need to
We
do
don't
that.
need to do it, nothing?
No.
Okay. All right.
Before you
It's just for your
adjourn.
consideration. Sorry.
No.
That was just for your
Okay.
consideration. For you
Consideration.
guys to continuously think about
Yes.
moving it forward or leave
Okay.
it where it is, and then we can leave it where it is.
Okay. Well,
Before you adjourn, I just want to say, this is the first year I think I'm officially a liaison to the Library Commission, but I think in the past I would stop by every now and then. And you all are more efficient, more thoughtful, more conscientious than the other commissions. Not that they were bad, but they didn't quite seem to have the mover and shaker kind of thinking that you all have. So I just want to compliment you all for being so conscientious.
Thank you. Appreciate
And
it.
thank you for that. I forgot to mention, I'm going to mention two things. Did you already mention this?
no, I have not mentioned this.
So Christopher brought this to my attention, the Building Forward Library Facilities Improvement Program, Round 2. So we got almost 10 million from Round 1
Right.
to renovate, and then we did a 50% match, and so we had almost 15 million to renovate. They're opening up a Round 2,
Right.
and we're trying to figure out how we can go after some more money.
Okay.
Ooh, wow.
Terrific.
to help do more
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
So we will keep you all posted.
Nice.
So I think by the time you meet again, we'll know if we went for
Oh,
something.
great, great.
So that's one thing. So we're always still looking for money.
Of course.
And then I also want to let you all know that we are planning, we being the city, city manager office, city council, city attorney, city clerk, mayor's office, boards and commission training. Woo!
Oh.
I know you all are extremely excited about that. But it's for all boards and commissioners,
Okay.
as well as staff liaisons on a number of things from Form 700s to Brown Act and, bylaw creation. So I think there'll be an opportunity for you to hear more, for all commissioners to hear more,
Great.
to help you do your jobs in the most effective, efficient way, and for us to support you as staff. So we're looking at late May.
Great.
So I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
You'll know more maybe at the next meeting also.
Okay.
So is
Or
this-
before the next meeting.
Before, yeah.
Before the next
is
meeting,
this
we'll let you know.
something for us to go to, or somebody's going to come to us?
Oh, no,
and
it'll
say,
be online, it'll be
Oh, okay.
virtual,
Uh-huh.
it'll be for all, it'll be recorded, so if you can't make it in person,
Okay.
You can do it another
virtually
time.
on that date, it will be available to you to look at later, but it's for all boards and commissioner task force members as well as staff liaisons. And so I know you all have been
Can
asking
support
about it.
staff go?
No, everybody, no,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds
I
exciting.
can, yeah, so
Okay.
it'll be the first one that I think they've had in forever or a long time.
And, well, thank you for that information.
Right,
I'm-
yeah,
I
that's
look
awesome.
forward to that.
Me too.
And before we finally adjourn, I noticed that report, you pulled your report up from the stack, but yours was on top. Are you okay with everything as far as anything that you wanted to present with this California State Library? You got
No.
the same thing? Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to circle back.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned
Right.
at
8:24?
8:24.
All right.
Less
Meeting
than 2
adjourned.
hours.
Meeting adjourned.